Welcome to The Brain Dump, where we study the psychology of success. Join us as we probe the habits, rituals, and routines of top-performing artists, entrepreneurs, authors, athletes, and more to uncover the timeless principles we can all use to take our lives to the next level. Are you ready to plunge the grunge that's been gunking up your mind's eye? Great, then let's get to it.
Guys, welcome back to the Brain Dump. We got Austin in the house. Anthony, how are you doing, sir?
I'm fantastic. I got a haircut. You can't
tell. You look good. Guys, I just want to let everybody know. I want it to be recorded. Anthony has officially reached the big time. I no longer get to talk to him. I only get to talk to his assistant. It's kind of amazing that he's created.
It's all about systems, right? It's about protecting the two most valuable assets that we all have, our time and our attention. And I don't have the time for you, Austin. I'm just too big time now. No, that's never
we
true.
Appreciate
that's
it.
Never true. You call me anytime.
We had the pleasure of having, I talk to this guy about once a day. So we've got to know each other real well. But Mr. Marc Picard coming in from Spain. How are you doing, sir?
I'm very good. Thank you. Thank you for having me. And congratulations, Anthony Vicino.
Mark, what time is it there? It looks like it's morning, but it can't be, right?
No, it can't be. I'm in the future, guys. I'm in the future right now. I am probably 6 hours ahead of you. So just so you know, there's a volcano that is erupting right now.
Give me the lottery number situation. I need that.
Yeah, I'll check that. That's for sure. So I'm in the future. I'm 6 hours ahead of you. Any question other than the lottery, just ask, I'll answer to the best of my knowledge.
I feel like I'm so simple that I'm like, I don't want to know anything.
No, let me tell you something. Mark's more simple. Mark just runs. He's been retired since he was 33 and works because he wants to, who he wants to work with, and lives out. So his company's I
did that through simplicity, guys. Like instead of, so I lived like 8 years in Vegas, living the big life, spending $2,000 on one meal on the best restaurant on the strip. I was a performer with that type of lifestyle, but then a lot of things happened in my life, and now I live in Spain, and I wouldn't call it like a minimalist lifestyle, because minimalist, like you can really go really far in minimalism. I have a certain level of comfort, but definitely my level of comfort is below your average listener. That's for sure. Like in my house, if you're cold, you fucking build a fire, and you need to chop the wood, and, we have chickens and shit like that. So, yeah.
So is that what we're talking about today, Mark?
Chopping wood to get warm?
We're talking about Hey, Anthony started. He said, I'm a simple guy, so we talk about simplicity.
It's true. I like it.
So because here's the thing, I think we enter in a beautiful new economy, which is the economy of resilience. There's a possibility today for anyone with a little bit of knowledge or a little bit of time, let's say, to build a life that they really want based on their passion, based on what they want to do, and based on their core value. And we're sort of getting out of that hamster wheel economy, the worker and the work for your retirement and all that. We're sort of really moving away. And I think I believe I'm some sort of an example of that. I retired at 31, and now, of course, I have a business. I have a marketing agency, that is like surprisingly successful, because if there's one project that I never expected in my life to be successful, it was that. So it's cool. But my leverage is I get to choose with who I'm working with. Like, I don't work with pain in the butt clients, and I don't work with that, because I have a simple life. So, and I believe that that's something that simplicity mindset should grow in the population, because that's really how we're going to impact the world, by simplifying our lifestyle, which is my personal opinion. you know. Yeah.
Austin,
Yeah.
I was sitting here waiting for you to hop in.
I know, but I felt like that a lot of that resonated with you. But I'm rereading Naval's book again, and kind of in the same place of leverage, right? Talking about leverage of coding, leverage of people, leverage of time.
Yeah.
And ultimately, I just did a rant. I just recorded a rant right before this about choice, right? We're very grumpy, right? We're a grumpy society. You know, I got to do this, I got to do that. No, do you get to? Do you choose to? Or have you created so much debt or so many things that you have to pay for that you don't get to choose to, you have to? And I think that's what you're talking about is kind of a choice of, I get to work with these clients. I get to go to work every day and do what I choose to do. And this is what, if I had to guess, Anthony, really what this podcast is all about.
Yeah, the reason I was quiet there was I was trying to think of a particular quote that came from Adam Smith, and I can't recall it, and that puts me in a very uncomfortable situation. You know that when I can't think of a quote, I'm like, I got to stop and just not do a single thing until it comes to me. But here's what really resonates with me about what Marc is talking about, and I 100% agree that we're in this era now where, so the broad strokes of the Adam Smith quote that I wanted to point out was that the modern economy really functions as a result of specificity and the fact that people specialize in particular things and nobody really has like the full knowledge of any single thing. So the example he uses is like to make a pin, like a little metal pin, there's thousands of people involved, each who have this hyper specialization of skills that then comes together in this macroeconomic function. And what Marc is pointing out there, and I don't think people at large have realized yet, is that we're moving ever towards even more specialization outside of a macro industrial way, which means we get to choose and create our own hyper niches in our own life and say, I want to just do this thing or do that thing. But there's this generational inertia still where people don't realize that. And so they think they still have to go work at this company and do exactly what their parents and their grandparents did. And they're starting to see like the internet economy and how you can go and do your own thing. They're starting to get that, but it hasn't fully clicked for society at large. A lot of like pretty much everybody that we're talking to on this podcast, if you're listening to this, you're probably going, all of this is resonating, saying, yes, I want to create my life by design. I want to work on the things that I want to work on when I want to work on them. And so you get that, but most of the population doesn't realize that yet. And so the general consensus when you're talking to somebody who's not in this world, right, is to say, oh, that's nice for you, but that doesn't apply to me. Like I have a family, I have kids, I had this degree, I have to pay off my debts. And so I have to stay as an accountant working in the CPA firm that I don't necessarily want to do.
That's the but always,
exactly.
always. Yeah, but it's easy for you. Everything that starts with but, you're on for a really, really, really bad ride for sure. I think it's a cultural change. I feel sometimes I'm going to use an image. I feel that, if you give a pen to a 3-year-old, he's going to grab it like this and start drawing like a monkey. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Because he's not used to that piece of technology yet. A pen is a piece of technology. So he's not used to holding it right, to draw right. All of his muscles are not used for that piece of technology that can, unleash. A pen is really powerful. You can lift mountain with a pen, And I feel we're the same way with social media right now. We're like a bunch of 3-year-olds with a new technology, and we're starting just now. And now, I mean, since a few years, I want to say pre-pandemic, maybe, we sort of start to get it for real, because even like, I remember like in 2014, I had a business project that crashed, that didn't work out at all. And it was because I underestimated the digital marketing aspect of it, and we're back in 2014, 15. It's not that long ago. The word digital marketer back then was not as popular as today. So we're slowly starting to realize the power of this technology, and the younger generation, if they're taught properly, which is not happening right now in the school system, at least in Spain. I don't know where, I don't know for you, but the school system is not adapted to those new technologies. But I just feel we're a bunch of 3-year-olds still, and we're trying our best to use that technology, and slowly we're sort of figuring it out,
Well, what's interesting, and a little bit of the same thing. I think the bigger question is that we're asking the wrong questions, right? Because hear me out. When people see me all the time, they always DM me and they're like, "Hey, what time do you go to bed at night to get up that early?" No, you're asking the wrong question.
Yeah.
What drives me so much that I can consistently get up, and what sets my soul on fire that I need to get up every day to do that? That's the question that you need to be asking. But everybody's focused on the wrong thing. Well, social media is terrible. Well, no, it's terrible because you use it the wrong way.
Exactly.
It's like, one of the things that I think, this vanity metric of like, I've read 50 books. Yeah, you read 50 books, but how much did you actually execute on? Right? And the simplicity of execution and asking the right questions are really what you need to live your life on.
That's how I know I'm off for a bad start with a new client. Like, major part of the people that contact me, like I'm gaining some sort of momentum in the real estate podcast field, so I work with real estate investors and real estate podcasters. And usually their first question is going to be, "Marc, how can you make me an influencer?" Or what can you do? What can you do for me to grow my following? And I'm like,
that's such a weird way of looking at it.
Yeah, it is. But you would be surprised.
Anthony, I've said in the meetings with him.
Yeah.
This happens all the time.
Of course. It's a comment that the people don't realize that we're entering into modern marketing. And modern marketing is based on helping the smallest viable audience. If it's 20 people, it's 20 people. If it's 100, it's 100. If it's 1,000, it's 1,000. But to get to that 1,000 people, it needs a lot of work, And if you cannot take care of that 20 people, that will become 100, that will become 1,000, you won't be able to take care of 1 million followers ever. And usually those clients they never became client because I walked away. But usually they're flooded with fake followers.
Yep.
Which is very common in the real estate landscape, unfortunately.
And it's super transparent, guys. Like, if you're listening to this and you're thinking about maybe going buying some followers to kind of juice the numbers because you think that's going to help, it doesn't fool the people that you actually want to work with.
And you start your relationship with a potential investor based on a fraud. It is illegal. It's not legal. The platform doesn't allow you to buy any followers and use software and all that. So you're starting your relationship on a lie. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. On a huge lie. It's a little bit like I always say the same example, because when you transpose social media in real life, it's sort of more understandable. But imagine there's a happy hour. It's full of real estate brokers and real estate investors and agents, and they're all in the room, okay? And imagine there's that dude that enters with fucking 50 people and 20 limos are parking in front of the bar, and he's coming out and Mr. Big Shot, and then you realize that all of those friends were paid. They were actors. They weren't real. They were all actors. So would you do business with that guy? Never, ever, 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 ever. But it starts from a good place. The people that buy followers, what they want is they want credibility fast. So instead of taking it with humility and start slow and build very slow, little by little, one post at a time, they want it fast. But it starts from a place of just wanted credibility. At the end of the day, we need to forgive them.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's fast tracking the credibility question, which is it's difficult, but it's like you can't buy credibility. You just either are credible or you're not. You either are authentic or you're not. It's not something that you can go and purchase. And so it's always fascinating to me the people that want to grow their social media followings, but they don't have the time for the people who are currently following them. They're so focused on getting more and more and more followers, and they're not engaging. Like this is like super prevalent across the industry. You go right now and look at anybody's social media post. I could probably pull up somebody right now and just go through their comments and see like, how are they meaningfully engaging with the people who are already showing up and eating dinner at their party, right? I think Gary Vee said it best, where he's like, you people are just like, you're inviting all these people over and you're making this delicious dish, and then you're putting it on the table and walking away, and you're like, you're not engaging with these people, and you're just like, how can I get the next 50 people into this dinner, rather than like sitting down and actually having the conversation with who's there.
Well, well, you got me to read that book. This is Marketing by Seth Godin. Yeah. And him and Aubrey Marcus had this conversation. It's like, dude, you only need like 100 true fans to create a life that you truly love. And we're around trying to search for it. It's the same thing as Tony Robbins says. If you don't give money when you make 1,000, you won't give money when you make 1,000,000. If you won't engage your audience when you have 100 followers, you won't engage them when you have 1,000,000.
Because at the end of the day, marketing is about transformation. It's not about transaction, you know. And the main mistake that real estate podcasters do is they play the real estate card. So they're gonna post things about real estate. They're gonna advertise their real estate knowledge, advertise, but they don't actually build up a crowd that they will help transform. Because modern marketing is based on transformation. Why do you stick to certain influencers? Because they inspire you, because through their transformation you are transforming yourself, you know. Through their growth you grow. It's all about growth, you know. So in order to help someone transforming their life, you need to show up for them every day, which is the beauty of that new economy, that new events. It's so simple. We're talking about philosophical concept and all that, but it's pretty fucking simple. You know what I mean? It's not hard to be kind, to be thankful, to be just.
You know, Mark, you know what I told my guys? I said, listen, guys, we're going to have this huge meeting. I'm going to tell you how we're going to be literally millionaires and successful as shit in our construction business. I was like, are you ready? I blocked off 30 minutes. I said, if we do what we say we're going to do and don't be dickheads, we'll be better than the rest. That's it. Because if you look at the construction space, they're all assholes and they try to take advantage of people. And this is what me and Anthony talk about all the time. I don't care how much real estate I have or how much businesses I have. There will never be anybody answering my DMs except me. Because you can spot it within 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And, you know, they want to share your content, you know, and the thing is like, there's a progression that people refuse to do. Anthony, when you started out, the confidence level that you feel today, as you sit, you've closed all these units this year, to when you've raised your money on your first deal, that'll serve you for the rest of your career when it comes to investing in real estate. If you try to circumvent that, you wouldn't be who you are today, correct?
I'd be somebody completely different, that's for sure. I mean, we are the amalgamation of all of our life experiences, and there's no fast tracking. That is the thing. Like the idea of like, I want to be an influencer. Like you can't just fast track to being an influencer without having influence, and nobody can give you influence. It's something that you have to develop over time through your unique voice and experiences and background. And this all reminds me of the Marcus Aurelius quote, which is the goal of life well lived is to do less better, or something to that effect. Do less better. And then whether we're talking about social media marketing and building businesses, I think a lot of people focus on doing too much. They try to do too much and they complicate things. And they're like, I need to be on this platform, this thing, that, and I need to be doing all this content, all these things. And they're not winning at the fundamentals. And they're not just showing up and saying like, this is how we win the game, is by showing up, making sure. Do you guys remember? Have you guys ever heard about John Wooden? I think that's his name, Wooden. Yeah, the basketball coach, right?
UCLA basketball coach.
Yeah. Legendary basketball coach, and his whole thing was like, day one, he teaches his guys how to like put on their socks, and then how to put on their shoes and how to tie their shoes. These are like, NCAA basketball players, and he's teaching them how to tie their shoes. And then like you look at that and you're like, why are you doing this? And he goes, because if you don't know how to put your shoe on correctly and you're not tying it correctly, you're going to get blisters. And if you get blisters, you're not going to be able to, stay the game. You're not going to be able to perform at your best. He's like, so we start with the fundamentals. I'm going to teach you everything you need to know. We're going to build it up from the ground up. We're going to leave no stone unturned, and we're going to nail those fundamentals, starting with how to tie your shoes.
And to go back to marketing, linked to that, there's so many marketers. The only thing they want is to teach the high-end training technique to slam dunk and that, and they're going to create a fucking program with clicks, funnels, and complicated newsletter campaign. And they're going to create all those things to crack the algorithm, when at the end of the day, you just have to tell the person, okay, I'm going to support you with all those shit. But if you don't show up every day and, start at the beginning with your small circle, because you were talking about the word influencer. Everybody is an influencer. Everybody. As soon as you have the power to influence 1-2 people, you are an influencer. You might not be like a Gary V or someone with you're not famous, but everybody has an influence. So if you don't use that influence that everybody has in life by starting by teaching your players or your students how to tie their shoes, as you said with that basketball coach, you won't be able to teach them to slam dunk and crane their games and blah, 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 blah.
It reminds me at the beginning when you're talking about the pen and how kids, they grab it and they just start writing and drawing like monkeys. I think we all are like that. And this happens a lot with artistic exercises. And I think Ira Glass has a really cool essay called The Gap, where he talks about how when we first start a thing, we suck at the thing. But the thing that got us interested in that thing, our taste, is very high. And so we recognize there's this big gap between where our ability is and what we see as good quality. It takes a long time to bridge that gap. And I don't know if you guys have ever played drums. I've never played drums or learned how to draw. But when you do any of these activities, you start in the most boring, mundane ways. Where when you're learning the drums, they're just like, you're just learning how to keep the rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, over and over. And the same with drawing. Like, how do we draw a straight line? How do we draw a circle? Like, the fundamentals of it are so difficult, but we want to jump straight to like creating this masterpiece or recreating that cool drum solo. Like, and most people never get through that hard middle section. And so that hard middle section, though, is like actually pretty easy in the grand scheme of things. If you just keep going, just keep showing up and just keep doing the basic thing.
Absolutely agree. Small effort that compound at the end. I'm an ultra runner. I run ultra marathons. I can go out for 100 kilometers nonstop. I'm going to run 24 hours nonstop. And that allowed me to realize the power of that one step. Because when you go through those long races, you go through like tremendous pain and joy and all the states in the world. You know what I mean? It's the most powerful drug ever. Like, if you're into that type of thing, you should go run an ultra marathon. But that capacity to focus on that one step is what gets us through a really, really long race. All the ultra runners I know agree on that. You can go with those complicated like diet and complicated training program and blah, blah, blah. But if at the end of the day, during a race, when you need to complete 100 kilometers and it's raining and it's cold and your stomach hurt and you're about to puke and all that and blah, blah, blah. If you cannot tap in a place in your mind to just focus on that small step, there's no way you will reach the end of the race. That's sort of something that I apply in my life. People want the best out of one post. And then they do what that one post and they spend many, many hours and they track all the results, which is great, but at the end of the day, it's just one step of a very long ultra marathon, So it's always important to put everything in perspective when you're on social media, because at the end of the day, whatever you put out on social media is just one scroll. You know what I mean? You're one little tiny piece of a scroll, but that's it. You know, so you put time and effort for sure. Sometimes I spend ridiculous amount of hours on a post. You know, like ridiculous, to build a carousel and blah 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 blah. But I don't know. I feel this is how I'm gonna maybe move mountain one day. You know, it's not my ambition, but you know, I can focus on that small step and slowly going somewhere.
I used to run long distance in high school and in college as well. And my coach said something once, and I can't remember how he put it, but it was to the effect that no one step is more important than all the others. Right. And when you're talking about people wanting to put in all this time and energy into like this one post and get it just right and track all the analytics and all these things, and it's like, that's just one step. And in the grand scheme of things, it's no bigger of a step or smaller of a step than the steps that came before and that will come after. They're all equal. And this is why I've always latched on to the +1 framework that I've talked about on this podcast before from Maslow, where he's like, imagine a road in front of you, all these signs at equal distances. Each one is +1, +1. Behind you, they're all -1, -1, -1. And recognize that each decision is either +1 or -1. But what's baked into that analogy that I think is so powerful is also recognizing their equal distance. Each decision, regardless of what decision it is, it's either moving you forward or it's moving you backwards. But some decision, like there's no difference in the grand scheme. They're all the same step. They're all equal. So don't try and take one big, massive step. Just take the next step and recognize it's the same distance as the step that came before, the same step that'll come after. And if you keep doing that long enough, you will get to your destination.
Agree. 100%. Absolutely agree. It's all, you know, marketing is more about agriculture than hunting. Mm-hmm. You know, and those small little effort to grow something, you know. Hunting is something else. It's difficult to hunt, of course, but marketing is that long run, you know, that you plant a seed, you first you prepare the soil and everything, and it takes time. You know, I try to grow most of my food, except this year it was a fucking disaster, but sort of managed to grow a fair part of our food, but it's long, man. It takes the whole year.
And that's the cool thing too about that analogy of farming versus hunting is like farming, you can't just put in a big spurt of energy once.
Exactly.
And you can't just do it for a week and be like, haha, I have farmed. You have to do it. You have to show up every single day. And it's not a ton of work every single day, but it's work that adds up. Whereas hunting, yeah, you could put in a big burst of energy, go kill the elephants, and then you're eating for a month. Good to go. But that's exhausting in the grand scheme of things.
Absolutely.
Jim Rome always talks about, you know, what comes right after planting season, harvest season. And so at the end of the day, you've got to plant. And, you know, Matty A uses the same analogy. You got to, you know, a field, you got to plant the seed, get the soil ready. And you got to really, what we're talking about is playing a long-term game over a short-term game, whether it's in relationships or business in general. So Marc, if people want to find out more about what you got going on, how would they do that?
They'll click on the link in the description and land on my website, my social media and everything. If not, stupidsimpledigitalmarketing.com, because I'm a stupid simple guy. So stupidsimpledigitalmarketing.com.
Love
that
it.
resonates with my soul.
Me and Marc are out there doing the work, making it happen for our brand. So, man, we really appreciate this conversation, guys. If you love this episode, send it out to a friend, share it with somebody that would get some value from it.
Write a review on Apple. That's what you get. If you got anything out of this interview, take 5 seconds, write something on Apple, please.
Thank you, Marc.
You're welcome.
All right, guys.
Thank Thanks for joining us here at the Brain Dump. Now, before you go, it's important to solidify what you've learned here today by taking action. If all you do is listen, then you're only going to retain a small amount of the information you consumed here today. So take a quick moment to really lock in any key insights, tidbits, or pieces of wisdom that you want to carry with you into the future. You can do this by heading over to iTunes and leaving a review with your top 3 takeaways from this episode. If you've already left a review, first, thank you so much. Second, it's time to start a Brain Dump journal. It doesn't have to be fancy, just a slip of paper will do where you can record a couple quick thoughts from each episode. Science shows this is one of the best ways to ensure long-term retention of new information. And finally, if you've got a brother, a sister, a coworker, or a best friend that you think would benefit from this episode, do them and us a favor and share with them this episode. Your support, as always, means the world to us.